good evening, all of you. And presence of young professionals is a great reprieve to me. I'll tell you why a little later. Sri R. Venkatramani, distinguished Attorney General of India, Sri Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, Ms. Pratibha Jain, Chair, India Committee, American Bar Association, India, Dr. Lalit Bhasin, President, Society of Indian Law Firms. There are many in the audience, some young, whom I know. Difficult to recognize presence of all, but I must make a mention of Mr. Nishit Desai and Amit Kapoor. My address will be primarily for young professionals. For reasons I can't figure out, for me, law firms were like Lutyens Delhi. They were impregnable. I could never pierce them. I came to know law firms' strength only from the other side when I faced their lawyers in the court. There may be some exceptions. They engaged me because others were not available or not prepared to go to a far distant place. Now, my young friends, learn your lessons hard. My tryst with legal profession, the jealous mistress, started in 1979. In less than 10.5 years, I was designated senior advocate. The tryst ended, the painful parting took place in 2019, when I was nominated according to Mamtaji, appointed according to the Constitution by the Honorable President to be Governor of the State of West Bengal. So technically, and in legal sense, I am no longer a fraternal member of this august profession. But then, my connect will there be always. That is the reason why I am here. The parting with jealous mistress, young friends, was very painful. I miss my memos. They were quite useful. I had the pleasure. I leave it to you what kind of it. Because I used to take no more than one case a day. And the other side, senior lawyer, had multiple cases, was looking at the board, negotiating one court to another. I took longer time in my arguments to enjoy their helplessness. It was like extraction of a tooth taking longer. And therefore, I need not issue any disclaimer. Never had any association with law firms in particular, and the opportunity may not come. As I am told, people who demit this office, that is of Vice President, they normally don't appear in court. And I hate giving opinions because they are cited for purposes beyond their worth. Friends, it is an absolute honor to be a lawyer. It's a lifetime opportunity. I say so because having handled litigation of some of the world's largest multinationals, corporates, law firms don't know it. So I'm revealing the secret for the first time. I enjoyed my stay in International Court of Justice, International Court of Arbitration at Paris. I chaired 2 committees. I encouraged every young professional who came to Paris and met me. I inspired and motivated him. Been to 40 countries, and I normally don't travel without legal work. I am not much involved with tourism. So I can tell you, if a man like me from a village, with that kind of academic credentials, and going well, you need not believe in his crutches. The world is before you. Make most of it. Nishit and Amit, you have strong goodwill. The law firms have great goodwill. I enormously benefited in the field of arbitration from his messages. Enormously. I read them every time. Even after I ceased to be a senior advocate by virtue of my position, the book that he gave me, a small book, but multiple quick responses, is very useful to me and my team, helping the nation. So lawyers as a community are well suited to contribute to global peace, harmony, development, and make, in particular, our country, Bharat, great. But this can happen only when we realize our spinal strength. Before me, if I am not wrong, the participants are principally from America and India. A very powerful democracy, a very developed democracy, and India, home to 1/6 of humanity, is functional, vibrant democracy. The largest, the oldest, on the rise as never before. The rise is unstoppable. The rise is incremental. In the face of headwinds, where global economies have collapsed, the challenges, others have been decimated. India has marched ahead. From being part of fragile 5 economies just a decade ago, we are now amongst the 5. That's not important. What is more important is the journey from fragile 5 to big 5. Overcoming the economies of Canada, UK and France. We had rough terrain, difficult terrain. No one knows it more than the lawyers in this room. We made it. And have it from me, my young friends. In 2 years, we'll be the 3rd largest global economy ahead of Japan and Germany. How it has been brought about? It has been brought about because there is mission, there is passion, there is fearless execution. It has been brought about because fundamentals have been changed. And these fundamentals matter to young men and young women more than anyone else. One fundamental that has undergone big change is equality before law. Enshrined in the Constitution, but we had flourishing, privileged pedigree. They entertained an idea they are above law. They are beyond the reach of law. They are immune from law. And that was a ground reality. I say so because I came to be exposed to public governance for the first time in 1989 when I was elected to Parliament and had the good fortune to be in the Council of Ministers. Patronage, nepotism, favoritism are matter of the past. Patronage no longer secures you a job or a contract. You are living in good times. You are living in times where there is an ecosystem. where you can fully unleash your energy, expand your talent, realize your aspirations, fructify your dreams. You are lucky. People of my age were in turmoil, in cyclonic situation. How we had to travel long distance to go to a school. How there was no one in the profession to handhold us. How for years I came to be so away from Lutyens Club by living in Lutyens, Delhi. I was living just 500 meters away from Supreme Court, Sagar Apartments. So my message to you young friends is, don't be deterred by anything. There is nothing else any institution has worth only because of human resource. And I always found that assistance rendered to me in global commercial arbitrations or in the highest court or high courts emanated from young minds. I always acknowledged it. They are source of inspiration to me, motivation to me. You are lucky that the law firms are hand-holding you. I wish they could be a little more sensitive. Second big change, one is equality before law. Second big change, corruption is no longer rewarding. Power corridors once infested with middlemen, power brokers, they extra legally leveraged decision making. And certain professions engaged in a situation. They were deciding appointments even of ministers. Our system to that extent had got rotten. People were in a state of hopelessness. They were drifting from the main theme of this country. But now, our corridors have been duly sanitized. These elements have not been neutralized, they have been finished. You will never have the fortune of seeing how they worked, in what sinister manner they worked, because they will never be there. They are extinct. This is a phenomenon of last decade. And the third one, Indian passport a decade ago, and being Indian a decade ago outside India was a different game altogether. And now, if you are an Indian, they look at you. They wish to connect with you. Why? Our global image has taken a huge upsurge. I wouldn't say incremental, vertical upsurge, like a rocket. And why? IMF, World Bank. There was a time they were in a disciplining mood for India. In 1990, as Council of Ministers member, as a minister, I suffered the pain that our foreign exchange was between 1 billion and 2 billion US dollars. Our gold of Bharat, gold of that Bharat that was known once as Sone ki Chidiya, was taken in a plane to be pledged to 2 Swiss banks to sustain our credibility. Where are we now? 600 billion plus. There may be a week when there may be a jump of 6 billion, a billion a day. That's a big change. It was never before. IMF, what does it say now? India is a favorite destination, a hot spot of investment and opportunity. What does World Bank say? In digital penetration, India has accomplished in 6-7 years, which was not possible in more than 4 decades. I don't go by what they say. I go by ground reality. our digital transactions. And mind you, in a country of 1.4 billion, we are 50% of global transactions. Our UPI is getting acceptability in countries that are developed. And look at availability of internet, accessibility of internet, usage of internet per capita. We are more than USA and China, with due respect, taken together. At this point, with this growth, a growth that is marked with economic rise, my heart pains. When someone who was in position of power in this country, in the field of economics, I don't want to name the individual, spread only pessimism. India cannot go beyond 5.5% growth. No one asks a question when the growth is more than 7.5%. Why this pessimism when we are in an era of hope and possibility? Nothing is beyond us. Chandrayaan 3 landing on the soft side of moon, South Pole, is just an instance. If you young boys and girls will care to find out, you will know how much we have earned in billions by putting rockets of other nations from our delivery machines in the space. This is Bharat. Could you have ever imagined that our legislature and executive will work in tandem to that extent? The dream of having 1/3 women in Lok Sabha and state legislatures is fructified. My young friends, India is the only country in the world that has constitutionally structured democracy at all levels. You know it. Part 9 of the Constitution. Part 9, capital A of the Constitution. A constitutionally structured democracy at panchayat level, at municipal level. Which other country has it? And in that scenario, there are some countries from sovereign platforms, they want to teach us what democracy is. Young minds have to be activated. You have to subscribe to the spirit of nationalism. Nationalism is non-negotiable. We have to have firm commitment to it. You are discerning minds. You are intelligent minds. You must speak out on public platform, on social media. We are not a nation to get scriptures from others. We are a nation that has civilizational ethos for more than 5,000 years. Look at G20. What was the motto? One earth, one family, one future. We did not coin it for G20. It is nectar of our civilizational worth, embedded in our ethos. Vasudev Kutumbakam. The world gathered it. When we faced pandemic COVID, some of us, I would call them misguided souls, wanted to create hurdles. How can we look pandemic through partisan prism? How can we look growth from politics? How can we look at nationalism from gain in political arena? No. We overcame pandemic. We helped 100 other countries. They are grateful to Bharat for rescuing them from pandemic. And we are the only country, gentlemen and gentle ladies, only country in the world that made available the digital certificate on mobile. We saved paper. No other country in the world, mark my words, not even the most developed, made available that certification to its people. Now, when we are a nation like this, I am little surprised. How can an observation be made in ignorance of ground reality. Let me tell you a simple thing, the reaction has come. Citizen Amendment Act. You are lawyers. What does it say? We are taking into consideration humanitarian aspect, a reprieve to those who have been persecuted on religious grounds in our neighborhood. None is being deprived. And the narrative is so different. Why are you silent? Second, we are not inviting people to get benefit of it. Benefit of this is being given to whom? Are already in this country. They are in this country for over a decade because cut-off date is 2014. Are we doing it for the first time? Jews, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, others, Parsis, they came to this country, flourished, blossomed, occupied top positions. And now someone from a sovereign platform, ignorance of what is the ground reality in this country, is trying to teach lessons to us that this is discriminatory. Let us rebuff their ignorance. Let us enlighten them to engage in due diligence. If you will not rise now, when would you rise? We are in Amrit Kal. Firm foundation is being laid for a developed nation at 2047. And what is firm foundation? I come from a village. There was no light. Every home has a light now. There was no gas connection. Every home has now. There was no tap water. Largely it is there. Exercise is going on. Toilet I could never think of. Every home has a toilet now. This big change has taken place. Those of you who are from villages, you can work from your home because internet connectivity is available in every village. People of my generation and little younger to me know. They used to take a day off from work so that they can pay their electricity bill, their telephone bill, their water bill. They can apply for a passport. Service delivery in a country of 1.4 billion is digitally driven now. Everyone is aware of it. Look at the success of it. I am not on a figure that a large amount, more than 2,75,000 crores has gone to farmers. The number is more than 9 or 10 crores, keeps on fluctuating. They receive thrice in a year direct transfer of money. Government has mechanism. But what is important is the farmer has the mechanism to receive it. Relate back to the time when I got into Parliament. A year before that, India's Prime Minister, a young Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi ji, I knew him very personally. He had to lament. If we send 1 rupee from Delhi, fraction of it, 15 paisa reaches. No longer. It's 100%. So that's another issue. There are people in the world who want to lecture us on our judicial behavior. India has robust judicial mechanism, a judiciary that is fair, independent, firm, and ever ready. It is citizen-centric, institution-centric. I have on occasions indicated that our country will take a big leap when institutions work in their domain. They must work in tandem. But there will always be issues. There can be no day when there will be not an issue between judiciary and executive, judiciary and legislature. We'll overcome that by dialogue, deliberation, discussion. can you look in the world around and find another judicial institution that is as independent, as enormously talented as ours? Trust me, you will not be able to find out. I have some exposure in that direction. It cannot happen. And look at the big change that is taking place in this country. I appeal to you also that you are young minds who can catalyze big change. You must persuade young minds that there are new opportunities available to you. They must come out of silos. They engage recklessly, driven sometimes by their parents, to try only for competitive examinations. It's a highly stressful. I don't call it cutthroat competition. But if there are 100 seats, 1,000 people try, 900 will be disappointed. If it is 110,000 try, look at the frustration. And after people get into government jobs, they leave the jobs to make most of the private ventures. It is in that context I am telling you that there are people in this country and outside also who find it very difficult to digest our growth. The world is stunned. Everyone is applauding. But some of us are setting afloat narratives that are sinister, pernicious, demeaning our progress, tainting our institutions. We must guard against them. Your silence on these issues will ever resonate in your ears. That there was a time when you could contribute to the growth of this great nation. You failed to do it. As coming to the governance aspect and harmony, the world is in need of harmony as never before. We have no rule-based order on high seas, but our Navy is contributing massively. You must be hearing every day, day in and day out. We had problems in various parts of the globe, but look at how our citizens were taken out using diplomacy, using our resources, and helping other nations also. So there is every reason for you to be proud Indians and take pride in our historic exponential achievements. Make most of it. I know there are certain issues. The issues will be resolved. We'll find way out. We are no longer in a tunnel where light can't be seen. There are tunnels around, but the moment you get into a tunnel, you see a light. It can't last long. My young friends, you know globe. You know global developments. Look at what is happening in other parts of the world. It was your dream once to be in that city, that city, that city, that city. Now you find, why not this city? There was an observation. There is no growth of arbitration in our country. Why? Simple. Arbitration in our country is a mechanism that adds one tier more to civil litigation. You get an appointment of an arbitrator, intervention of court, and then the act is so worded, the arbitrator at appointment may be independent, but who stops you from calling him that he is not independent now? You can go to court again. Then there is an award that is always Caesarean. It takes long and long and long, notwithstanding changes in law. When the award is there, it is not an award under challenge. It's a civil suit. Then there is a statutory appeal provided. And then we are a litigating mind, enormously talented and innovative in that area. Why does Supreme Court exist unless we don't access it? So we reach out to Article 136, make way to the Supreme Court. What was initially thought to be a small slit, the wall is demolished. You can reach any time. Sometimes we take pride that the Supreme Court is open to one and all. Good thing. But then what happens to high courts? What happens to district courts? Everyone has to do the job. While I am extremely proud of our judicial institutions, we will have to also take care that institution of high courts is fundamental to judicial governance. It is high court that has power of superintendence over subordinate judiciary. That's a big change. All you have to do it. Well, I wouldn't take more time, as normally I take when my wife is not present. But I find Mrs. Venkatramani is present. I noticed her late. So there can be a direct communication. And when there is a possibility of a credible communication, best is discretion is the better part of valor. So my young friends, in particular, wish you great. You are living in a nation, you are lucky. All of you are, according to me, part of marathon march to a developed Bharat at 2047. I am sure I will not be around. Wherever I may be, I will be clapping for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for delivering.